Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. There's a group of people who are predicting that there's going to be a doctor shortage here in the state of New Jersey. So the New Jersey Senate has come up with a proposal which they believe will solve this problem that they believe we're going to suffer from. And here's what they propose. They propose passing a bill that would forgive student loans for doctors who work in underserved areas of New Jersey for at least 10 years. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a great solution. We're going to give people incentive to become doctors and help the needy. Sounds great. Who wouldn't support such an idea? The problem is this proposal overlooks many very essential, many crucial factors. For example, why do we have, or why are we anticipating a shortage of doctors here in the state of New Jersey? Well, a report conducted by the New Jersey Senate's Education Committee claims that it is because people who are going to school to become doctors are extremely concerned about how much it's going to cost them and don't want to accumulate all of that debt and are considering studying other things. So, again, on the surface, we think, well, okay, so why don't we just make it less expensive for people who want to become doctors and help the needy? That's what one would think on the surface. Here's the problem. Just considering the report that the New Jersey Senate conducted, the recent article which talks about this report and talks about the bill which was passed by the Senate Education Committee, there's no comment on how the report was conducted, which means we presently have no reason to assume that this is absolutely the number one reason why we can suspect and anticipate a shortage of doctors here in the state of New Jersey. Furthermore, on that note, Obamacare is such a problematic law now, that many people are quitting their practices because of all of the problems with Obamacare. I would argue that an objective report would show us all that, in fact, that's the number one reason why we can expect the possibility of a shortage of doctors in the state of New Jersey. But that complaint aside, if we're going to forgive the debt of people who are going to go to college to become doctors, who's going to pay for their education? We are, the taxpayers, which means a tax increase. And if not an immediate tax increase, an increase on debt. Well, if you've been watching my videos, you'd be well aware that it's very easy to prove that high taxes and high debt and high government spending cause poverty to overtake an economy. And we see it, in fact, happening here in the state of New Jersey, where we have the highest property taxes and highest debt per capita. And all the while, we have record-breaking poverty. We're suffering from more poverty in this state this year than in the past 52 years in our history. And in fact, we're the home of the poorest city in the entire country. All while more people are leaving the state. More people than any other state in the entire country. Now, I know I bring these points up to you in virtually every video address, but that is because we must realize that New Jersey has become an extremely undesirable place to live, and it has become an extremely undesirable place to live because it is too expensive and people don't want to live somewhere that costs them too much. It's logic. Moving on. Yet another objection to this ridiculous policy, which on the surface seems very attractive, but when examined more closely is disastrous. This is an attempt to bribe people to become doctors. It's an attempt to bribe people. Well, on the surface, governmental bribery might seem like something, well, you hate to bribe people, but if we're facing an emergency, then that's just what we're going to have to do. It's still bribery. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, but it's saying to the taxpayer, we're forcing you to subsidize these people in this industry, regardless of whether or not you agree with it. And even though one may argue that for the well-being of society, it should be a matter of law that the government does everything it can to provide society with more doctors. That is a violation of our religious freedom. It is a violation of our right to say we spend our money as we choose. And furthermore, considering the economic circumstances that we live in today, where the real cause of expenses and the real cause of not being able to afford things that we should be able to afford is high taxes and high debt and irresponsible, reckless spending, those should be the problems that are fixed. Those are the problems that should be fixed. But let's move on. Here's yet another objection. And this is regarding the fact that college tuition absolutely continues to increase, and a look at why it continues to increase. In a nutshell, increased government subsidies for people to go to college causes increased tuition. Now, this is a theory proposed by a man who worked for the Reagan administration, who said, well, if we subsidize colleges, or rather if we subsidize students to go to college, colleges are going to continually ask for more and more money, knowing that the government is going to continue offering that money. This is actually a very logical theory, and here's why. It is human nature to seek a profit. Nobody can contest this view. It's human nature. And whether you're the kind of person who supports government-sponsored enterprise or the private sector, nonetheless, if you are the person who is a strong advocate of government-sponsored enterprise, you want more government-sponsored enterprise, which means you want more money there. And if you are an advocate of the private sector, within each business, that business seeks a profit. It's human nature to seek as much profit as you can possibly get. It's a fact. Who can dispute that? Knowing this, it is then obvious that government intervention, government subsidy of colleges is going to drive the cost of colleges to increase. But don't take me at my word, ladies and gentlemen. I did some research today just to become better versed and more eloquent on this specific topic and have all the facts. Don't take me at my word. The Vice President of the United States, Joseph Biden, agrees that government subsidies cause cost of college to increase. Joseph Biden has no problem with the fact that government subsidies for students to go to college causes the tuition to increase. He's not worried about that whatsoever. I'm going to read to you the quote, and I will link you as well to the website that provides this quote. But here's what Vice President Joseph Biden had to say. Quote, "Government subsidies have impacted on rising tuition costs. But if we went the rate, your view of the free market route, what we would have done is we would not have increased Pell Grants, and there would be 9 million fewer students in college today." Close quote. In other words, the Vice President of the United States, Joseph Biden, is saying, yeah, we're going to subsidize college and it's going to cause college to cost more for everybody. But that's not the issue. That's not the problem, he says. The goal, he says, is, regardless of how much it costs, to ensure that as many people as possible go to college. Again, on the surface, this sounds like an extremely attractive idea. Why wouldn't we want everybody to go to college and get the best education they can get? Ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter is, college is not a necessity. It is not. Food is a necessity. Shelter is a necessity. Emergency health care is a necessity. Police protection is a necessity.